According to the World Health Organization, dated 2017, cervical cancer is the second most common type of cancer in women worldwide and is the second biggest cancer killer in women today. So, in today's society, cervical cancer is becoming an increasing issue for women in various countries due to lack of education on the topic, resources, and annual physical exams. Now, to better understand exactly how cervical cancer is becoming such a global issue in our global society, it is important to know exactly what cervical cancer really is. Now, first and foremost, cervical cancer starts in the cervix, which is the lower portion of the uterus in women. Now, the cervix is only about 2 centimeters and 1 inch long, according to the Canadian Cancer Society, dated 2017, and it is made up mostly of connective tissue and muscle. As shown in this first figure, you are able to see the endocervical canal, which is a passageway from the uterus to the vagina, and it is made up of 2 types of cells, the columnar cells and the squamous cells. So when a woman develops cervical cancer, the malignant cells, which are the cancerous cells, they are what target these columnar and squamous cells, according to the Canadian Cancer Society, dated 2017. So in all, the cervix is what connects the body of the uterus to the vagina, as you can see in this second figure retrieved from the Canadian Cancer Society, dated 2017. Now you are also able to see the ovaries, which are also present in the uterine structure within women. They are located in the upper portion of the uterus, and once an egg is released and fertilized, this is where a baby, or also known as the fetus, would develop. So remember when I said the malignant cells are what target the columnar and squamous cells within the endocervical canal? The main thing that causes this cervical cancer to happen in the first place is most likely due to the human papillomavirus infection, also known as HPV. Now, HPV is the cause of unprotected sex, and it begins in the lining of the cervix. Hint, when I said it targets those cells within the endocervical canal. So that is how the abnormality of the cells happen. But this usually does not form suddenly. There is normally a gradual change of the normal cells within the cervix. And according to the Global Burden of Women's Cancers, dated 2017, some women with precancerous changes of the cervix will develop cancer. On the other hand, for some women, the precancerous changes may go away without any treatment as long as a healthy sex life and lifestyle are maintained. Now, with the basic and general knowledge of cervical cancer, I just want to note that there have been some general efforts made to address the global health issue regarding cervical cancer in women. The main focus of the general efforts have been the HPV vaccines. However, because women are not even aware of what HPV is or what cervical cancer is, the challenge has been getting them to actually go out and get the HPV vaccination. Here are 3 intervention programs that have been created and established in order to bring more awareness to the data and the facts regarding cervical cancer in women. According to Piana, dated 2016, in India, cervical cancer is a leading cause of cancer mortality. The development of the human papillomavirus infection is becoming such a rising issue for the women of India. As a result, they were in need of an intervention in order to better prevent this disease from spreading. So they came up with the idea of developing HPV vaccination programs. Not only do these programs help provide services and resources for the women of India to get vaccinated against HPV, but they also allow for pap tests and screenings as well as treatments. The costs of the HPV vaccination programs in India are not exactly known. However, they are in partnership with the government of India in order to keep providing women with these HPV vaccinations. Overall, the HPV vaccination programs throughout these various communities in India have remained a frequent priority in aiding women with a lot of opportunities to just gain knowledge regarding cervical cancer prevention. The next intervention program takes place in rural communities within Nigeria, and they are able to provide them with educational films regarding health education on cervical cancer and cervical screening. This specific intervention program entailed a cervical health education 25-minute movie that was shown to women ranging from 25 to 64 years of age, and it was highly effective in creating awareness for improving the knowledge and perception of adult women regarding the cervical cancer and screenings to prevent it. During these presentations, handouts were also created in the local language as well as English, and they were given to the women to basically reinforce exactly what had been said and learned during the film. The cost of this specific health education intervention on cervical cancer is not exactly known. However, there have been multiple fundraisers within the rural communities of Nigeria in order to properly fund these cervical cancer education forums. Overall, the program was able to be sustained and completed its job in educating the women of the rural communities in Nigeria and just bringing health awareness, cervical health awareness, and screening to them. Now, the program is done annually in an effort to keep providing cervical education to women ranging from ages 25 to 64. Now, this last intervention program is responsible in creating and funding 65 programs in all 50 states of the United States. Now, it is called the National Comprehensive Cancer Control Program. This program is put in place to creatively and routinely provide interventions regarding cervical cancer, as well as discussing progress and future direction of the National Comprehensive Cancer Control Program. This program is completely funded through the CDC, also known as the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, and it is successful in not only specifically addressing cervical cancers to women who range from 21 to 59 years of age across the U.S., but also in organizing Pap test screening clinics for cervical cancer. In all of these interventions are consistently working towards the greater good of supplying women globally with the education, resources, and services of the cervical and reproductive health. Therefore, I can't really choose one intervention program to be my preferred solution. I honestly prefer all three of them. With that being said, I support any interventions requiring awareness and education to women regarding cervical cancer because according to the global burden of women's cancers, every year more than 2 million women worldwide are diagnosed with breast or cervical cancer, yet where a woman lives, her socioeconomic status and agency largely determines whether she will develop one of these cancers and will ultimately survive it. I will also make it a point to do everything within my power, my skill, and my education to be a living testimony to women all over the world, not just within my community. Knowing the signs and symptoms of cervical cancer are not always present, so knowing what they display, if they happen to be present, is a major key to knowing when to get screened and testing. Especially if women are sexually active, I cannot emphasize enough the importance of practicing a healthy sex lifestyle. That is key in preventing cervical cancer and HPV in general.